Peace and Black Power, family. Peace and Black Power, family. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, DR.Umar Johnson, with a very, 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 very brief video today. I was asked a question earlier this morning. In fact, I have received the same question multiple times during this pandemic and quarantine season. And the question that I have been asked by many parents, educators, fake woke movement members, and genuine grassroots activists is whether or not I believe they will allow America's public and charter school children to return back to the schoolhouse. Even if not this school year, as we all know, most states, most governors have already declared that public school for the 2019-2020 year has already been canceled. So in many states, children will not be going back to school. We know that, and we are clear on that. But the question is whether or not they will ever return to school. And I would like to give you some thoughts on this matter. Firstly, I want to remind you all to please donate to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. You have the address, you have the Cash App, $FDMG School on the Cash App, $FDMG School on the Cash App, P.O. 9634, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. Donate. And part of my comments as it relates to the continuation of public and charter school will conclude with FDMG as a solution. It will conclude with FDMG as one of many solutions. But here is the issue as it relates to eliminating public education in America. Number one, we know that America wants to do away with public education. We know this. The United States Department of Education has only been in existence since the 1980s. We know this. The United States Constitution does not mention the word education. We know this. The United States Constitution does not give anyone. The United States Constitution does not give anyone the right to an education. There is no constitutional right to a high school diploma. There is no constitutional right for a K-12 education or any other kind of education. We know this. We know that many of America's taxpayers do not want to pay tax for a public education that their Constitution does not require. We know that. We know that the charter school movement was born in 1990 to help defund and ultimately sabotage public education in predominantly black areas. We know this. We know they have been working for 30 years to eliminate public education. We know this. We know that gentrification has been used as a mass weapon against public education. We know this. So you may say then, well, Dr. Umar, if they want to get rid of public education anyway, why not just shut the schools down right now, permanently, forever, while all children are home? Why not do that? First of all, they could. First of all, they could do that. I am of the opinion that if I was on that side of the aisle, and I'm not, but if I was on the white power structure side of this conversation, I'm quite certain that many of them would want to push for the elimination of public education right now. It's the perfect time. You can use COVID-19 as the excuse for why children can never, ever go back to school. You could use the coronavirus as the excuse for why children in America can never, ever return to public or charter school. This is the perfect time to do it if you're going to do it. You could blame it on public health emergency. You could blame it on public health emergency. So this is the perfect time to do it. I don't think they've thought that far, number one. And I don't think they're prepared to go that far right now, number two. In addition to that, there's two challenges that must be addressed if they're going to eliminate public and charter school right now. Meaning there will never be any more in-your-face direct student-to-teacher learning. If that is going to be the case, that brings to the surface two challenges that the American power structure has to address. Challenge number one. Challenge number one. Public education. Compulsory public education, meaning you are required by state law to go to school. Remember, you cannot be required by constitutional law to go to school because the Constitution doesn't guarantee schooling, but the 50 state constitutions guarantee education. The 50 state constitutions guarantee education. Part of the reason why the 50 state constitutions guarantee education is because parents need babysitters in order for them to go and slave for the corporations. Parents need babysitters in order for them to go and slave for the corporations. Parents need babysitters in order to go work. Compulsory education for the 50 states was never about the proper education of children. Do your research. You do not have to believe me. Get a good book on the history of American education. I happen to be a certified school principal. I happen to be an educator. You understand me? I happen to have my master's in educational leadership. I am a certified school psychologist. I know this history already. I know this history already. I know this history already. Get you a good book on the history of American education. Compulsory education did not come from parent protests. Compulsory education did not come from politicians who wanted kids to be educated. Compulsory education came from Pepsi-Cola and the Rockefellers and big corporations like Walmart. And I'm just using them for example because many of them were not around at that time. But the point I'm making is that big business forced the states to make education compulsory, because if they did not make education compulsory, parents would not be able to go to work. If the American people cannot go to work, there are no products being produced by the capitalist machine. If there's no products being produced by the capitalist machine, there can be no conspicuous consumption. And without conspicuous consumption, capitalism falls apart. So it was business. It was capital. It was the corporation that made public school compulsory. So here's my point. If compulsory education was birthed by the corporation, if compulsory education was birthed by the corporation, if the children don't go back to school, you recreate the same problem that required public education in the first place. I'm going to say it again because I need you to understand. I need you to overstand, and I need you to understand. I need you to understand me. I need you to understand me, and I need you to overstand me. If they say children cannot return to school ever, parents will not be able to go to work. Now, of course, some could if they have older children, friends, grandmom, grandpa, auntie, uncle. Some of us could make a way, but everyone would not be able to make a way. It would significantly undermine American capitalism if parents have to stay home with their children instead of going to work. They will reinvent the same problem that public school was created in order to address. So that's problem number one. How are you going to alleviate the effects that the elimination of public education will cause for American capitalism? There's another piece to this. If the parents can't go to work, not only does capitalism suffer directly because they don't have workers, capitalism will also suffer indirectly because the parents are not earning an income. And if the parents are not earning an income, they cannot go and buy the things that they make during their working hours. If I don't have money, I can't buy your cell phone. I can't pay my cell phone bill. I can't get gas. I can't shop at McDonald's. I can't go to Walmart. I can't get my hair done. I can't buy Air Jordans. In order for capitalism to work, there must be production and consumption. In order for capitalism to work, there must be production and consumption. In order for capitalism to work, there must be production and consumption. Okay? So if the kids don't go to school, you don't have production because parents can't go to work. And you don't have consumption because the parents are not earning an income to keep capitalism afloat by purchasing. The stock market would crash worse than it already has during this pandemic. The stock market would crash worse than it already has during this pandemic.